goal kicker, Taylor Walker, with a welcome off. Here's Roselli. Roselli kicks the goal.
Handball to the excitement machine, McLeod. Left foot goal.
Oh, don't tell me.
He's a superstar.
Don't tell me. Oh! He's yet to kick an AFL goal. Oh, the velvet curtain.
Walker, oh, he's a colossus. He's kicked 5. He's been a handful. He's been the difference.
To cover himself in glory.
He's coming back.
And got there.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Proper Crows podcast. Thank you very much for listening, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watching on YouTube at the moment. We very much appreciate your support. Of course, today we'll be running through the big round 13 win against the Lions from Friday night, some general news and an early preview of our clash with the Hawks next week, and of course, much, much more. Not just me here today. I am joined by Dom. Dom, how are you, mate?
Oh, dude, I used to pray for times like this. I am over the moon, my brother. I am so good. It's not funny.
We're incredibly back. And
We are so
of course,
back.
Dyl.
Good day, mate. How are
you,
you?
mate?
I'm good. I'm pretty stoked. It's been a good weekend, good win Friday night. It really set the tone off well for a good long weekend. So now I came to dive into it and sort of see what we can get.
Absolutely, mate. We'll kick it straight off. What was the score on Friday night in the end?
Adelaide 10-8-68 to Brisbane's 8-15-63. So a little bit lucky in the end there, but we'll go through that after. Goal scorers, we had Rash and Keys with 3, and then Thiel, Walker, Dawson, and Pedler just with singles.
Indeed, we did. And a bit of a scrap for the first 3 quarters. It wasn't pleasant viewing, that's for sure. Maybe after half time it got a bit better, but yeah, the first half was very dour, and really we were the team that couldn't kick straight to start with. So for all the people telling us about how Brisbane missed so many shots in the last, we went into quarter time 0 goals 6. So the boot was definitely on both feet and both teams on Friday night. But Dom, what were your thoughts, mate? It's as I said, a bit of a scrap, but we got there in the end.
We did. It was. I was concerned at 3/4 time, like I think a lot of people were. And that last 8 minutes was the longest 8 minutes of my life that I can remember for sure. I can't remember a time where our back six was just getting like absolutely pummeled like they were, but it was very pleasing to see them stand up, and especially against Brisbane, who are quite an efficient scoring team, and like everyone's kind of said, I think we probably did get slightly lucky in the end, but we've been, like Nixie said, we've been that unlucky for that long that it's about time something went our way.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it didn't help ourselves in the first half playing 2021 Crows ball and just bombing it in long every single time on the forwards' heads, but I've thankfully made some adjustments after 3/4 time and decided to play some direct football and got the result. Dyl, how about you, mate? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, look, it was a rough first 3 quarters. I think especially the first half hour, that first quarter was just it was pretty awful. We would sort of get beaten around the footy absolutely everywhere. The ball was going to ground, and we were just getting smashed. But it was good to see at the same time that the pressure rating was so high, and it was a finals like intensity there for that first half of just go go go. But good to see that when our backs was against the wall, we sort of came out and did what we had to do and just get a nice gritty win. Doesn't really matter how you do it. Doesn't matter if you get lucky. If you walk away with the 4 points, and who really cares?
Yeah, no, exactly right. And I think that's one thing that Nixie highlighted in the presser on Friday night, is we've been very unlucky over the last probably 3 years in these sort of close games, and would have often been us kicking the 8 goals 15 and just missing by under a goal, but managed to get on top on this occasion, which was very, very pleasing to see. Changes to the team this week. Obviously, Laird came in and Sid went out. It was somewhat unexpected. Thought maybe with the weather we might have gone in a bit shorter, but Laird came in and played a very good role, and Sid went back to the SANFL and kicked a winning goal himself. So worked out for us in the end, I suppose. But how did you see Laird's game on the weekend, Dom?
Oh, he was. When we get into the votes, I'll just mention it now. I'm not giving him a vote, but it's incredibly stiff. Like, he was very good. I don't think we may have been in the position we were without him. Like, he really stood up, especially in that last quarter. Few really important intercept marks. His kicking was actually quite good, which I have been known to, give him a fair bit of flack for. And yeah, once again continued the trend of I was a bit upset when I saw him come in. I not upset. I thought Sid going out was a bit unexpected, and I thought they may have dropped a tall, like you said, instead. But he was invaluable yet again. Every time I talk shit about him, he proves me wrong. So I think it's about time I just give him his flowers and admit that now that he's back on halfback, he's pretty safe in the team. I think because he was great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the thing that we're all thinking is with Brodie Smith still in the team, we might have thought it would have been a straight swap for him. And we did put a post up on Twitter about 10 minutes before Nixie's press conference on Thursday afternoon suggesting that might be the case. And Nixie just put it to bed straight away and said, Sid will be out and Laird will be in. So
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they just wanted to get ahead of it because I broke the news on the Tuesday night, so they just wanted to really get ahead of the curve. But that's just my opinion, I think.
Because you broke the news.
Tom Morris over here, mate. He
Yeah.
called the sub. You did call the sub last week as well. That was a good call from you.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't think it was that big of a surprise to me. I thought it was going to be pretty straightforward. You're coming in against the reigning premiers. You've got Rory Laird, who was managed last week, coming back in. Brodie Smith was great against Sydney, so I thought it was a pretty straightforward swap, to be honest with you. But I think the weather obviously was the big one, which I think caught some people off guard. But like that, I just sort of wanted us to back in our tools and get the ball to ground and let the smalls go to work, and that's exactly what we did. We saw Rash and Keys have an absolute, two ripper games, probably both in the votes. So I think that's where it's probably changed a little bit for us now as well. Everyone was so dependent on, how Fogg, Walker, and Thiel would play, but now when you've got Rash and Keys performing like they have been in the last 4 weeks, it doesn't really matter. The ball goes to ground and you're going to be dangerous wherever you go. So, yeah.
I think that's an important point to make as well when talking about the tools, because there was a lot of chatter about how we go into tall in wet games and stuff, but at the end of the day, you still got to get the ball to ground from these contests, and they always do. Like, they very rarely get beaten in the air. Like, if they're not taking the mark, the ball's normally going to ground. And like you said, we've got Rash and Keys are in career best form. Pedler's even coming in and playing a role. There's so many people around the ball that I think it's underrated how important it is to. I know we used to make jokes about Fog, especially, but it is genuinely like an important part of the game in the wet to get the ball to ground and not get outmarked still. And I think that just got overlooked a fair bit when there was a bit of noise around the selection, given the weather.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. One person as well who did have a fantastic last game, other than Keys and Rochelle, who we've just mentioned there too, is, well, maybe not a great game, was well held by Dunkley for 3 quarters, but Jordan Dawson in the last quarter decided to just turn into prime Chris Judd, really, taking hangers, kicking goals, doing absolutely everything, and was a
I think that sort of shows. Yeah, I think that sort of shows of why we recruited him and we made him our captain. Like that first 5 minutes of that last quarter was just electric. He got the first stoppage. He got the first stoppage clearance. He created that chain that kicked that Thilthorpe goal. It was just, and then he sat on Thilthorpe's head 5 minutes later. So it was just he was huge in that last quarter and sort of that inspirational captain step up moment that you needed. I couldn't be happier that we got him for so cheap as well. But yeah, it was good. It was massive front by him.
Yeah, well said.
Absolutely. More great recruiting by Reed and Ogilvy. So,
thanks, Reed. Thanks, Ogilvy. Thanks,
Reed.
Nix.
Thanks, Ogilvy, once more. 100%. He was fantastic. Dan Curtin, I'd like to touch on him a little bit as well. I thought he had some very good moments, and he's been a little bit maligned this year by a few people online and a few people at the games. You hear his name thrown around a lot, but he had 14 touches, 10 kicks, took 6 marks, 6 tackles, had a clearance himself as well. His work around the ground is just superb, and the way he weights his kicks very, very impressive for what a
Yeah,
20-year-old kid.
correct. I think it's so. Once again, this is turning into my own segment, but he passed the eye test. Like, you look at his stats, and it's well rounded, but he only had 14, but it seemed like he was always involved in the play, and he's so. We've touched on this before, and we were talking about it at the game. He's so clean above his head, even like in the conditions. His contested marking and just like he times his jump at the ball so well, and like you said, some of his kicks are ridiculous. The way he weights them, like just absolutely perfectly, is ridiculous. And I think he's definitely earned the Dan Minerals nickname we've all been giving him
Yeah.
recently because the kid's going to be a star. Like it's so painfully obvious now that he's been given that wing half forward half back role where he just rotates through all of them and he's making it his own. He's a star.
Yeah, he's really made that wing his own. Like the way that he's sort of able to start on a forward 50, then press press back to the back 50 and get amongst those defensive chains. Is just ridiculous. Like this kid's 19 at 197 centimeters. I think that's what people forget as well. He's
Yeah,
nearly 2 meters tall.
yeah, he's a big
Like
boy.
he's a freak.
He
He's an
is.
absolute freak.
I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna hope I don't curse him, but he is exactly what the AFL media thought Nick Cox was.
Yeah.
Where
Good
Nick
on him,
Cox
mate.
was called the unicorn. He was meant to be this like absolute revolutionary wingman, where he's 200 centimeters, but he can, run 15 k's a game, take a contested mark, kick a goal. That's like I feel like that's what he's turning into, and like given Nick Cox has had a real rough run, concussions and stuff, but
Fuck Nick Cox.
he's fucking hell. But he's growing into that, and I think he'll start earning some flowers from the media soon. I reckon.
Yeah,
No,
no,
yeah.
absolutely.
Look, he'll be huge. He'll be huge.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he probably gets his flower from the WA media because they want him to come back at the moment.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can sign him up long term and keep him sticking around.
One thing I will say that because it's quite funny because once someone brought it up, I did notice it a bit. Um, One of our mates on the hill who absolutely loves him brought up the fact that um, it seems like the more time he's got on the ball, the worse decision he makes. Like it's like if he takes a mark, goes back, kicks, it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life. Or like when it's like a contested ball, or he's only got like a split second to make a decision. His footy IQ is off the charts, but it's like once he relaxes and like has time to think, he overthinks and then just does something like it's still not like it doesn't cost us games or anything. It's just probably not what you'd expect him to do, kind of thing. And
Yeah,
it was funny. Once it got said, I was looking out for it, and I was like, yeah, you kind of onto something there.
Stop thinking.
Yeah, literally.
no, it reminds me a bit of a man who was sitting in the stands on Friday night, Brett Burton. He used to be a bit like that, where the more time he had, the less IQ used for the move that he makes on the field, and those split second ones go really quickly and go really well. But yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I heard that on Friday night as well, and I was like, yeah, that does make a bit of sense because give him time, and it's just not quite as good.
Yeah, genuinely, it's so funny. Like it's not, but it's one of those things where he'll grow into it, so it doesn't matter. Like at the moment, he's 19, so he is probably overthinking, but um, yeah, it's just funny.
No, 100%. Should we circle back to Joshua Shelley as well? We put out a tweet yesterday about him getting dropped last year, obviously, and we've all talked about it a lot. In fact, some people in the comments are a bit sick of it being mentioned, but
Yeah,
the Matty Nix hard truth has made him a 10 times better player. I think the talent was always there, but he's come out this year and he's almost in All Australian discussions. I've seen a few tweets starting to get him in those All Australian discussions.
if he,
Um,
I genuinely think if he continues to play, especially his last like 3 weeks, if he keeps playing like that, it's gonna be hard to ignore. Like if he,
He'll be in the squad at the moment.
I think Keys is as well. Honestly, like they're two. Keys probably not so much, but where I think they're both under. Like a lot of the spotlight goes on ranks for very good reason, but they're so Like Rash had a mountain of expectation on his shoulders coming into this season, and he's just worn it like a bloody badge of honor. Like he's not really taken a backward step, which I think a lot of people were worried about. Like you brought up Benny, but yeah, he's so invaluable, and anyone that still wants him traded, you come on, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny because it seems like he's only getting one CBA game as well, so he's not even doing his best work in the middle. He's doing it just as that sort of general forward that sits off high half forward and is able to sort of get into the play and then drop back and run back hard to goal. So he's a he's an absolute weapon. He's a freak. And I think we're starting to see the potential like superstar status that he he's gonna have. So yeah, I'm very excited to see this kid grow and put into maybe like a Toby Green type of output at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the goal that he kicked in the second quarter speaks absolute volumes of the class and just the
Oh
level headedness that he's
yeah,
brought to it. 50 out on the boundary in the pouring rain in the wet. It's just, and he kicked it no worries at all. It was just, yeah, I don't know. He's lifted his game tenfold, and I couldn't be happier for him because,
yeah. No, the fact that he
yeah,
dobbed that was ridiculous.
yeah, no, absolutely, he was fantastic, and we will touch on Benny Keys again as well because his work around the ground, like Dom mentioned, is probably has to be in that All Australian chat. I mean, he kicked 3, he had 20 touches, he had 10 kicks, he had 5 tackles, 3 clearances. He was doing everything. Was the beneficiary of some nice tunnel ball work from Darcy Fogarty in the forward line. He, doing absolutely everything, and he's a great high half forward player that we've been crying out for a long time, and he's blossomed into it very well.
yeah, well said. And I just need to bring this up. The Brisbane tears on that fucking highlight of the goal, all of them crying about it allegedly being a throw from Fogarty. Keep coping, everyone. Keep crying
Yeah.
about it. Yep, that's gonna. I know that this is a bit of a pot kettle black situation here. Crows fans crying, but just cope, dudes. Cope. That's
He
all.
even hit it with two hands. He hit it with one hand. If it was two
Oh,
hands, yes.
nah,
But
bro. I
was it
swear.
going as
Nah,
a
nah,
throw?
man. Nah, you're wrong, bro. It was 2 hands, bro. I swear. The Brisbane fans said it was 2 hands, man. It was a throw.
Yeah, it
It's
wasn't
just
the
like the
fact that they
Washington
kicked 0
fans have been.
goes 8 in the last quarter, but it's fine.
Yeah, man. Just
Yeah,
ignore
but
that. We'll move past
yeah,
that.
no, but Archie, bro, Archie's was a goal, even though no players or
Oh yeah,
anyone
no
around him
one
even
knows, but
celebrated.
the ball. Yeah, fucking you, bud. You're a piece of work. You are piece of work.
I genuinely never had beef with Brisbane supporters until this game. I've never seen, besides, honestly, besides us, when we've been properly screwed by the umpires and we've gotten our bloody apologies, I have never seen so much salt come out of a loss before in my life than Brisbane fans. Like, it is insane.
Yeah,
Like, and Chris Fagan didn't help. Like, that's the most, like, there's just no shame in that at all. He's so, like, his comments in that press conference just pissed me off. And Matty Nix's response to it was perfect. This is so off topic. It just rolled me up because I started thinking about it. Um,
nah, 100%.
he just man, I used to like Chris Fagan, and I never used to understand why a couple of our friends hated him. But I'm all aboard now. He's such a sore loser. Like, just
You
cope,
know,
dude.
no. I'm going to land some minerals right now. While we're on the topic, I'm going to land some
Here we
minerals.
go. Flip the
Charlie
chat.
Cameron, Zach Bailey, Callum Archie, Kyle Lohman, Harris Andrews, Eric Hipwood, Charlie Cameron again, Logan Morris, Lockie Neal, Chris Fagan, Charlie Cameron for a third time. You can all fucking hold that. You're still two clubs. You're the Brisbane Bears. You're Fitzroy, and just go away. Fuck off. You've won your flag. Piss off. Go the Crows. Let's move on.
Well said.
Yeah, much slower, mate. Much slower. Um, yeah, I
Also,
don't.
Kyle
I just
Oman, get a haircut. Sorry, I just had to.
yeah, had
Your
to
hair
had to
looks
just take that
stupid,
one in.
mate. No one respects you. Grow up.
Nah,
All right,
just to
move
circle
on.
back to
Get
Fagan
moving.
as well. Just to circle back to Fagan real quickly, just with those comments about should have won. Yeah, you probably should have, but it's your own team's fault for missing the shots. I mean, like,
Correct.
come
And
on. Like,
I think like we know, everyone knows. Yeah, we probably got lucky because like Nixie said, 99 times out of 100, Lockie Neal slots that one. Like he's running into an open goal from 20 metres out, and I think I even said, I think it was to Luke, but I said, oh fuck, that's Neil, that's a goal, and then it just comes off the side of his boot. Like, yeah, we got lucky, but guess what, mate? No, you fucking shouldn't have won, because you didn't. Cope,
Yeah,
you old,
exactly right.
miserable old man.
One more circling back to the Crows, actually, proper Crows podcast. Just want to touch on Brodie Smith as well, who obviously was the sub and came on at 3/4 time. I thought his impact and his cool head behind the ball for that last, especially that last 10 minutes when we were getting peppered, was crucial.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
That first contest that he had with Rayner on the wing there was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, got him straight away, wrapped him up, bang, off we go. Dawson then sits on Philthorpe's head. Like, it's just,
Yep.
yeah, electric. I think it's what you need. You know, when you're sitting in this type of position with such a young team with not much experience in this type of, you know, hot contest, to be able to have someone like him just to be able to come off the bench as the sub is just,
Yeah.
it's huge.
His stats are in. I'm just having like a SARS. So he had, in that 1/4 of footy, he had 8 disposals, 7 kicks, 1 handball, 2 tackles, 370 metres gained. That's from 25% time on ground. Like that is nuts. And I owe him so many apologies. He's.
100%.
It's almost like, again, it's almost like he just needs like a week on and then a week off.
Yeah,
And obviously that's unrealistic. But like, he had a cracking game last week, and then he comes on as a sub in the last quarter, and like, it was borderline vintage Brodie Smith for a while there. Like, his kicking was unreal, his pressure was unreal, his tackling was good. Like, it was true. Like, where I think where when Brodie Smith is playing well, who has been the butt of a lot of jokes and criticism, we're in a very good spot. I think very good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, his kicking from the kick-ins, he took most of the kick-ins in the last quarter, was invaluable as well.
Yeah,
That's probably my one criticism of our last 10 minutes. Obviously, the back six held up very well, but would have liked to have seen us break through the zones a little bit more. And I mean, obviously, Brisbane are a great team and they're going to set up very well, but it just felt like we were kicking it to Rob,
yeah.
was coming back. We were kicking it to Rob,
like,
was coming back.
yeah,
It
look, like
was.
that last quarter, it was just, you know, Brisbane led the clearances 12-15. They had 16-8 inside 50s. The contestant possessions were 36-29. And, you know, it was just ridiculous. Like,
They had
we
20 inside 50s for the record, not 16. Like, they peppered us.
that was so that was, yeah, sorry, fucking hell, yeah, I missed that. And then, you know, like, we held on there. We had 15 of our 18 intercepts were in like the back 50. It was just ridiculous. Like, to be able to hold on to that sort of pressure also kind of shows that the leaps and bounds that our back 50 has come, and they're still so young, which is pretty exciting. You know, like, we had a pressure rating of 253 there for a little bit, and that's the highest that we've seen all season for any sort of team. So, yeah, just ridiculous, just ridiculous. The fact that we still won, I'm still a little bit confused by, but it's cool.
Yeah. I think Benny's right, though. I think the decision to just kind of park the bus and go long every time was interesting. I think it, like, again, we're probably lucky that didn't come back to bite us. And I honestly think if they had kicked a goal, I would have backed us in to kick a goal from the middle, because we would have been able to reset. We wouldn't have been stuck in the zone. Like, but yeah, it's still a little bit concerning that they just peppered us for so long and we just couldn't find a way through. Like, I don't know, just playing a little bit more attacking, I think, wouldn't have gone astray. But again, the coaches, they consistently prove me wrong, so you got to back them in that they knew what they were doing. And I think Nixie said they kind of, in the last 5 minutes, they were like, "There's nothing we can do. We just have to let the boys try and hold on." And I do agree with that to a certain extent, but there's got to be a sign or something that they can hold up that means, like, you know, put in a little bit more, but we won, so I'm not going to complain anymore.
Yeah.
No, exactly right. I mean, it was almost similar to the showdown, that last 10 minutes of the showdown where we just sort of locked down and hoped for the best. But,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
fortunately,
just
we've been
think
on the right end of both games, so
I
it's
just
all
think
right. But,
that kind of footy is going to be rough come September, and that's the only thing that worries me. Um,
yeah.
Parking the bus in finals footy doesn't normally go too well, so
Yeah, I think while we're on the topic of sort of having a chat of how we can sort of improve, um, the midfield is a big, big, big concern at the moment. Just getting absolutely smashed everywhere with clearances. Just the way that we're able to transition out of the middle to the outside is a really, really big concern at the moment. And I don't know about you boys, but I think it's time for a change there within some sort of aspect. I'm not sure if it's the coaching staff or what's not, but it's getting to a point now where it's getting a little bit embarrassing.
I'm
Yeah,
just
well,
quickly saying it's about to start coming down real hard rain-wise at my house, and
Yeah,
I have a tin
it's
roof,
just hit at mine.
so
So
apologies for any background noise you might hear for the next 15 minutes.
oh, we've switched up, mate. I've got blue skies and sunshine at my house now after having it pissing rain at the start, so they're not far
No,
off.
it is coming. A bit of weather chat in the middle. Sorry about that, but yeah, it's gonna come down. So apologies for any noise.
Yeah, that's all right. And on what we were talking about with the middle there, I'm just looking at the clearance numbers. So, top clearances for the game: Lockie Neal with 9, Will Ashcroft with 8, Darcy Fort with 7, McCluggage with 6, Ashcroft with 6, and Miller with 4, Berry with 4, Thilthorpe with 3, Saligo 3, Rankin 3, O'Brien 3. Fuck, there's a lot of threes here. Yeah, so Brisbane absolutely dominated around the ball, and that was really. I mean, they didn't dominate us in the first half. That was the thing. Our defence stood up strong enough that it was okay. But by all means, looking at those numbers in the first half, we should have been like 10 goals behind because we got absolutely smacked.
Yeah,
But,
I
yeah,
am
like
not gonna lie.
in the first term. Yeah, sorry, Don. Sorry to
No,
cut you
you're
off
good.
there, but in the first time, the first term, Brisbane had of 19 of the first 25 first possessions out of a stoppage. Got beaten 19-6. Brisbane had first hands in the football. That is awful, absolutely awful. And it's it's a concern. It's a real concern because they should have punished us, but they didn't. So and that's not going to happen every week against the good sides.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
It's I was kind of expecting it, especially against Brisbane. Like their midfield is so horrifyingly good. They've got probably 7 players that can run through that midfield and dominate on their day. Um, so I'm not. So I think I honestly think they would have planned to lose the clearances. I can't imagine they would have gone in thinking that they're going to win the midfield battle. Um, but you're right, it's still concerning. Like I don't think it's going to hold up in the long term. And it's something that they'll definitely have to look at because you're right, it's going to end poorly eventually. But yeah, like I think it's one of those things where I agree something should change, but I'm backing them into, um, you know, plan accordingly and fix when they need to.
Yeah.
I just want to, I'm going to bring something up because once again, I am a Rob hater and I've just got my favourite stat to discuss based on our clearance game where I think once again, I'm not pinning this solely on the midfielders. So, Darcy Fort had 47 hitouts. 14 of them were to advantage. Riley O'Brien had 50 hitouts, to which 6 were to advantage.
Jesus Christ.
He just, it's like, and again, I will say the Brisbane midfield probably genuinely just read the ball better because that is one of their strong suits, and they do play. They play from the front in midfield. In their midfield, they get like to the front of the contest very easy against most teams. So I will say it's probably a little bit skewed because of how good they are at ground level, but that's still grim, man. Like our midfield is not bad enough to be Like, getting 50 hitouts and only having 6 to advantage, you can pin a little bit of it on Brisbane's midfield being better, but that's grim, dude. And
Yeah.
I don't really like.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I don't really know what you do with it because he's not. I don't necessarily think he was bad by any stretch, but I think he contributes more to our midfield slump than what
No,
you'd
I
think.
think I think as I said to you last week as well, like I don't think it's any I don't it's no surprise to me that, when Riley O'Brien is playing well, the Crows play well as a
Yeah,
whole, if you sort of know what I mean. And I think he was probably in my top five,
he
top
was good.
six
He was
on
really good around the ground. Like he was really good around the ground
he
on
clunked a
Friday
few
night.
massive marks, a few
Yeah,
massive marks. But yeah, look, I don't know. Like we had a pretty good conversation last week about the ruck situation and what's so not. If he's lines for another couple of years, I'm not going to be feral, but I definitely think there's bigger and brighter things out there. But nah, it's really hard. It's really really hard. Because he should be getting those bigger numbers to advantage. Because I do see what you're saying. Like if we get first choice of the football, then the clearance numbers probably don't look as awful. And you sort of need first supply, but yeah, without having a proper look at it, I can't really go too much into that.
I just think it's something to keep an eye on, especially when we have these games where we're getting absolutely dominated out the middle. I think our midfield is good enough to stand up when we need it to. Like, again, Brisbane probably have the best midfield in the comp in terms of the sheer volume of players that can go through there. Um, but yeah, it just I don't know. It it's like we go back and forth every couple of weeks about how we're happy with Rob and then we're not happy with Rob. So it's once again it's an inconsistency thing and it's just oh man, I don't know. I don't even know how I feel about him anymore because I used to hate him and then he started kind of winning me back over and now I don't want to hate him, but I look at these stats and I'm just like, God damn, man, how do you have 50 hitouts and only 6 get to one of our players?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do
Like,
the hitouts to advantage count ones that just go like to the side to no one as well? Like,
I don't
I don't
think
know
so.
if
I
you
think
guys
hit
know
out
about
to
it.
advantage is when it goes
I
like,
think it's straight into the lap, like basically
yeah.
like straight into the midst of someone.
I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
has to result in a clearance or something. I can't remember the exact stat, but
Yeah, so it'll be
um,
skewed a little bit, I guess, by the amount of contests there were, because there were 107 contests on the weekend,
Hmm.
which is
yeah,
an
that's
insane number.
that's a lot. Yeah, like it's one of those things. I think I'm always gonna bring it up because I think like me and Dill discussed it last week. You don't necessarily need a top tier ruckman to win a flag, but I still just don't know if Rob is quite there to get us to a flag.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's a hard one. As you spoke about last week, you probably don't need an elite ruckman to get to a flag, but it certainly doesn't, not help having a very good ruckman. So
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see how we go. And obviously, there's a lot of things to unfold with the whole ruck situation at the moment, as you spoke about last week too. So we'll see where we end up at the end of the year, I suppose, and see how we
Hmm.
go.
yeah. Like the midfield numbers were concerning, regardless though. Like none of our midfielders touched 20. Solly got the closest, and he only had 19. And then you look at Brisbane, and they had like I think it was 7 players have over 20 touches.
Yeah, that's
Like as a
insane.
team, I think they had 70 more disposals than us. Like it's an interesting game once you start actually looking at the stats because we got bullied in a lot of what you used to consider key stats that I think are just starting to get phased out a little bit in terms of efficiency being so important nowadays. But yeah, it's definitely a worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, absolutely. Well, next up, we're going to jump over to Twitter because we have a lot of comments. I mean, the socials have been going absolutely nuts over the weekend.
Yeah,
We've
it's
been
going
talking
nuts.
about things blow up. So we'll start off with a bit of feedback because we posted a video from the hill. If you've not seen it yet, head over to TikTok or Twitter at Proper Crows Pod to have a look. Live reaction from the siren of everyone just going absolutely nuts. And I mean, the last couple of seconds is literally when my phone got knocked out of my hand, so it's the ground, but that's all right. James said, "How the fuck did we do that?" Reese
Well said.
says, send a GIF. Simpsons, a groin-grabbingly good team. Very well said. Marty McFly says, what a win. Little old lady Lindy says, thanks, honey. Not sure who that was in response to, but oh boy, what a game. Oh my God, how good is Keane?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't really speak about him. He had yet again, he just had he's had a ripper.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's just floating under the radar a bit and just doing his role very, very well. I don't know. How many
Yep.
did he have?
Don't know. That's it. You go it up.
He only had 9 touches, but he had 8 kicks, took 3 marks, 208
He had
meters
a few.
gained.
He would have had a few intercepts there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He was. I think
He had 9 intercepts.
he was
So
big in that last
yeah.
quarter as well. Like that's probably
All of his
where.
disposals came from intercepts. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Next up, we have Lachlan McLaren, who responded to us at halftime. We put up the halftime score, and he said, I hope they show us soon because I'm fighting back the sleep. Well, he's responded to our full-time post saying, I regret going to bed at halftime. The big fella's falling asleep.
Oh,
oh
dude.
no.
Imagine waking up to
That's
that.
tough.
Oh,
That's tough.
that is brilliant. Holy.
That's horrible. That's a horrible feeling. I mean, it's a great feeling waking up to it, but fuck, imagine going to sleep at halftime and then being like, oh, we won a thriller. Sick.
Yeah, literally. We beat the reigning premiers by 5 points on Friday night footy.
I
Damn,
hope it
dude.
was a day at work. I hope it was a massive day at work that tied you
Yeah,
over.
man.
Mate. If you've just fallen asleep, that's not good, Lockie, mate.
Yeah,
Get
poor
a bit of a
form,
lift from
dude.
your son. Jackson says, was at the ground, so I'm guaranteed to have missed some things. Thought Keys and Rash were huge. Worrell and Keane saved our collective asses, particularly in the last 15. Dawson's
Yep.
mark and captain's goal when we needed it. Yeah, was another very, very good player on Friday night as well. Nikki says Keane was very solid all night and then stepped up to another level in the last. Also, one of only a couple of players who bounced the ball in those conditions, and that was brave. Luke Pedler was very brave.
Oh, don't even, man.
Do you want to talk about
He
Yeah.
Pedler for a second, Dom? You weren't overly happy with him.
he. I'll be nice. He played his role. However, I also could have played that role. I I really want to back him in, and I really want him to be a good player, and I'll give him credit. His pressure was good. I think he had 7 tackles. But I'm pretty sure he had 3 touches, and given one of them was a very important goal, but even then he almost fucked it up. He almost got run down, and he bounced the ball in very wet conditions. I am not sold on him in our 23. I'm still surprised he got elevated to begin with, and I don't think he plays next week. The Peatling suspension helps him, I think, but
Yeah, I think that's why he plays next week, and against sort of that the small ball that Hawthorn play. I think he plays. I don't think he's in any danger. I disagree with that.
I just don't. I don't think he's. I don't think he's there, and it's. Yeah, that's. I'll leave it there if you guys disagree, but I'm just not. I'm not sold, and I know Pookie also isn't sold. One of our good friends. He's one of the all-time Luke Pedler haters I've ever seen in my life. I'm not necessarily a hater. I don't hate him. I actually want him to do well because I think when he's on, he's a cracking player. But yeah, he only played 65% time on ground. Like he was like riding the pine half the game as well, which is what is just I don't know. It's weird. Him being in the team is weird.
Yeah,
But
it was a strange call up initially. Like I don't know. It was a strange call up. I think he.
like I'm not mad about it. I'm not like I'm not saying I want him to be dropped. I don't think he will play. And I think, he will. I think because of Peatling, but I think if Peatling had got off, I don't know. If I don't know who would come in and play that role, to be fair, except for probably Murph. So it's probably lesser of two evils at this point. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's weird.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think it'd be interesting to see how we go coming forward and see where we go from here. But holds his spot for the minute for me. But yeah, we'll see how we go. Adam says Keys best on ground for me. He was huge. The first 10 minutes or so of the last quarter from Dawson dragged us back into the game. Real inspirational leadership there. And although I haven't been his biggest fan, I thought Laird was great. Looked calmer than most when the whips were cracking. One vital moment that I forgot about was the max 2v1 win in the last quarter. Absolutely defending.
Yeah, I forgot about that too. That was fucking unreal. He is so good at football, it's not funny. And we talk about it every week, and we will probably always talk about him every week. But even when he's not filling the stat sheet, he's just so important to that back six. And it still blows my mind that he's only, 21 in his third year. Like, crazy, man. Crazy.
He's just a very cool head back there and just does a fantastic job at what he does. So he's invaluable to the team.
And he played well on Charlie Cameron as well. Like, I know he still kicked a couple, but
a couple of easy goals.
Yeah, when it was actually a one-on-one situation between those two, I'm pretty sure Max would have won every time. Like, he's a star.
Yeah, absolutely. Ethan says small forwards are just as dangerous as the Keys. Dawson proved why his top three captains in the league was having an average night, but was huge in the last quarter. Keys is just the heart and soul of what we are as a footy team now. When him and Rash start going, everyone else does too. I think he's very much a leader. Dyl, what do you reckon, Benny Keys, one of your favourites?
Sorry, I missed that. My phone's been playing up. I've been hearing bits and pieces. Who was the player we're talking about? Sorry?
Benny Keys, mate, heart and soul of the team and a leader when everyone else... Basically, Ethan on Twitter said basically he's a barometer of the team. When him and Rash start going, everyone else does too.
Yep, 100% agree with that. If Keys is up and about, then you're laughing. So, 100% agree with that from Big Ether there.
Absolutely. The next one, we have got B. Dosey, who says, need to find a better way out of defence when oppo sides are constantly attacking goals. Same thing happened last night in the last 10 minutes as it did with the poor power game, whereby we're too predictable kicking it out from behind to Spudley. Pretty much just touching on what we said a bit earlier. Daniel says, what a win. Most influential captain in the game is Jordan Dawson. Stoppages and clearances were well beaten. No mid had over 20 touches for us. Peatling tackle, very interesting. Neil had an arm free to brace but didn't. Yeah, I don't think that's an excuse, unfortunately, with the tackles because he did still end up hitting his head on the ground. Rochelle is elite. Good to have some luck for once. And I know there was a second part to that tweet, but it's not loading for me at the moment. But yeah, that sums it up pretty well, and we'll get it to Peatling in just a second with the result of his suspension. But yeah, I don't think having the arm free is an excuse, unfortunately, because he did hit his head on the ground, and it was a result of the tackle. So not really much of an argument we can have with that one.
Yeah, correct. It's like you said, we'll talk about it in a minute when we get to the suspension, but yeah, like you said, especially that midfield comment. I think everyone's noticing it, that we're probably not where we need to be. And he's spot on, Ree Dawson being most influential captain. Jared Waitley, midweek, said he was the best captain in the game, and I think most people have agreed. There's even, I can't remember who, I think it might have been Nathan Buckley that was talking about it with Jared Waitley, actually, where they almost said he was in line to be All-Australian captain, because I think he's probably locked into the 22 at the moment. And I tend to agree, like, if he makes the squad, I think he has to be captain almost at this point.
100%. I think he's the captain right as of right now. Like if you were putting the team together, he would be the captain as of right now.
Yeah, not to mention he's bloody. But I reckon he'd be Brownlow favourite now, especially with Baz missing. I haven't actually looked.
I think he is. I think he's 375. Yeah, he is. Him and Dacos are joint favourites, which I don't really understand because I don't think Dacos has had any big groundbreaking games. Like he's had a couple, but
nah, but he's got the Dacos bias where the umpires will notice him more because they like.
Dacos.
Yeah, like it's not. I don't even think it's a thing of he's in the words of Ross Lyon, a nepo baby, but Um, he's a good player, and there's so much media attention around him that you do just naturally notice him more. Even as fans, I think I do. Like I definitely notice him more on the ground because there's so much surrounding him that it's hard not to notice, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, absolutely. We've got a couple more here. Adelaide Club 8, this wasn't directly in response to us, but just a tweet that I saw as well. Adelaide is currently ranked number 1 for contested possessions, number 1 for goal assists, number 1 for goals, number 2 for centre clearances, number 2 for inside 50s, number 3 for tackles, and number 4 for marks inside 50. So we're doing a lot right. I mean, obviously the goals and goal assists comes from a few teams that were maybe a little lesser that we beat up on a little bit, but number 2 for centre clearances is an interesting stat considering
It's
how much we
very
got smacked on
interesting.
Friday night.
Yeah,
And that
that's
was posted after the game, so still relevant.
damn. If you'd asked me, I would not have even said we were top five.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So
Good stat. Very, very
very
good
good
stat.
start. Damn.
Now, lastly, we put up a tweet asking if anyone wanted to give players their flowers individually because we gave Rash his flowers. We said, is there anyone you want to shout out? Well, we've got about 23 players here to shout out, but that's all right. We've got Adam. Adam says Max and Curtin, please. We've spoken about both of them already. Luke says Josh Worrell and Dan brackets beef Curtin. Green Blazer would look so good on Josh this year. I mean, his form's very good. He could be on the brink of it, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say fringe of the 40 at the moment, maybe, but I'd give him another year. I don't think he'll be there this year, but he's definitely on the way there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Little old lady Lindy once more says, "Keen, please tell him thank you." We'll make sure to get the word out. He's doing a great job. This is an interesting conversation, actually. Andrew says Wayne is looking sharper the last few weeks. Got his step back somewhat, and his kicking is getting back to what it was. Kind of forget how much he has missed and how long it takes to fully feel comfortable out there again. I don't know about your boys' thoughts on Wayne on Friday night, but I didn't think he did too much. I mean, it was
I
tough
thought
conditions,
I
but
was calling for him to be subbed at half time.
yeah,
He only had one touch of the half, I think. So I was calling for him to be subbed off. Like when he's got the ball in hand, he's okay, but I didn't think he was that influential.
yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm just going to pull up his stats now because he's ended with 16 touches and almost 500 metres gained. So he's either had a massive second half or we've just put a little bit of mayo on the first half stats. He had 4 touches in the first half, so yeah, he had 10 in the second half, and yeah, a shit ton of meters gained. So I mean, 4 clearances too. He was our top clearance getter, 3 tackles, took 4 marks. So his second half must have just been a lot better than the first. But yeah, I remember having a chat with you just before half time and saying something similar of not necessarily sub him off or get him off, but yeah, I didn't think he was that great, but stats say differently, I suppose, and we do have to remember he's coming back from a lot of injuries and it would take a while to get better and being in that wet slop of a condition on Friday night would make it a bit harder as well. But Wayne did a relatively good job, so
Yeah.
he's done okay. So good feedback there. Thank you very much to everyone who did provide feedback on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. There's been a plethora to get through, so thank you. We absolutely love the feedback, and we look forward to a little bit more in the coming weeks. Hopefully, a bit of feedback from the Hawks game this week. More positives would be very good. We'll see how we go. We will jump forward to the votes, best on ground, and we'll start with you, Dill. Who are you going for your one vote?
All right. So I've got Rory Laird in with the one vote. But a couple players that just missed would have been Jordan Dawson and Jakey Saligo as well. They were electric, but no, I've gone Laird for the one vote. 25 touches. He was just there. He did everything that he needed to, so he gets the one for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Dom, how about you? Who gets your one?
Well, probably a bit stiff, but I've gone Dawson with the one. Like Dill said, there's probably a blanket you could throw over about 10 of them that deserve to be in the votes. But Dawson's last quarter definitely got him over the line like that. Like we just touched on, that his leadership is nuts, and that last quarter was, a showcase of that. He was almost turned the game himself. Like, he was unbelievable, especially considering how good of a job Dunkley had done originally. He kind of, tested him, took him forward, took that big contested mark, and yeah, you can't really fault that last quarter. So yeah, he gets the one for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same vein because I think if Dawes doesn't play that first 10 minutes the way that he did, we probably don't win the game. So one vote for me goes to Dawes too. Dill, who you got for your two?
I've got Rash in at the two. He obviously he didn't have a heap of it, but when he did have it, something happened. He kicked 3 goals, one. He had 10 touches, and he had 10 scoring involvements. Directly from those 10 touches. So, yeah, he's just a freak, and as I said before, I'm very, very excited to see where he can get to. So, yeah, Rash with the 2 votes for me.
Yep, strongly agree. Dom, how about you?
I've gone Solly. I think his work in the midfield in those conditions was incredibly underrated, and I think he probably not nullified, but he kept Neil and McLeod somewhat quiet. He had 13 tackles. He still had 3 clearances himself. I think his work down and dirty in the wet was absolutely brilliant, and I think our midfield would have suffered even more if he wasn't out there. So he gets the 2 for me.
Don't mind that call at all. I agree with Dill. I've gone Rash for the 2 for mine for all the reasons that you just said. 3 votes, Dill. Who you got?
Benny Keys. He was huge. He shut Zorko down. He kicked 3 of his own. He had 20 touches. His pressure was just absolutely off the scale. So that was a pretty easy one for me. So yeah, Ben Keys with 3.
100%. Dom, how about you?
Well, I have a feeling this might be unanimous, but I've also gone Benny Keys for everything Dill just said. 20 touches, 3 goals, unreal. Give him his bloody All Australian blazer.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are spot on. It is a unanimous decision there. 3 votes for Benny Keys. 100% was very good. And there's one of the listeners, I think it was Adam, that said when he's going well, the team's going well. So well done to Benny Keys. A fantastic game from him. We'll move on to the news now. James Peatling, as we alluded to a moment ago, has copped a 1-week ban for his dangerous tackle on Lockie Neal. I think we all knew as soon as we saw the tackle happen that it was going to be a suspension. There was no real questions for it. It is what it is. It
Yeah.
was a bit of a silly move and obviously not his first for the year, but is what it is. Unless your name's John Newcombe, you don't get off of those, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think the point being made about Neil having the arm freeze, I get it, but also as soon as he made the second action, he was always done. Like, he held him up and then chose to, swing his arms around and get him to ground where he didn't need to do that. He already had him in the tackle. He could have just stayed. So he was always done. It doesn't matter if Neil had an arm free or not. It was silly.
Yeah, absolutely. So who obviously missed the game with the Hawks this week? Thankful that it wasn't 2, even though I think we have Richmond on the back of the bye, so it might not have been too bad anyway. But
yeah,
silly move, but it is what it is. We'll move on to the SANFL now, who also had a big comeback. Thank you very much, Matt Campaign, for your prediction of South getting over the line when they were up by 38 because the SANFL squad came back. Came back to win by a point, Dom. What was the score?
So it was 7-9-51 to 7-8-50. Obviously they blew us away a bit in the first half. But we rebounded quite well. Cook ended up with 2, and then Burgess, Jones, Murphy, and Ankle with 1, as well as Sid, who ended up kicking the winner. It was a very stereotypical kind of tale of 2 halves type game. Like, I think they kicked 7 to half time, and then didn't kick another goal after that, whereas we kind of went the other way and we kicked the last 6 of the game. It was honestly kind of like the Brisbane game, to be honest. It was just more spread out rather than being in a 10-minute patch. Unfortunately, this week for me, it's a bit of a box score watch. I've been a little bit busy with uni and stuff, so I can't comment too much on the actual gameplay. So take these stats with a grain of salt, because as usual, like I said, I wasn't 100% all over it. But Charlie Edwards was brilliant again. Ended with 24 touches, 22 kicks as well. So very fantasy friendly game if you're keeping an eye on him.
It was 91. It was 91%. disposal efficiency as well from
Huge.
those kicks. But I think a lot of those kicks were bombed to 15 over 40 meters to the pack. So I think that disposal efficiency is the most useless stat in the game. But that's just me. But that is a little bit skewed because he was just sort of kicking along. But yeah.
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 And
We can
then
just
Lockie Shoal.
just having a look.
Ooh,
It was sorry, Dom. It was 6 goals, 7 to 4 points in the second half. So we
yeah, there you go.
definitely went over the top.
But yeah, obviously Lockie Shoal continued good form as well. He probably won't come back into the AFL side again, but he's been in great form and he continued it at 25. Lockie Murphy continues to knock on the door. Hopefully the door is well and firmly locked. But he had 22 and a goal. Sid had 20 and a goal. Nank 19 and a goal. Zach Taylor looks to have had a good game in response to his dropping. He had 18 himself, 5 tackles, 2 clearances. So SANFL team going well. It's nice to see them have a big comeback, especially against South Adelaide because fuck South. But
I, yeah, I think someone to watch this week coming in with the Peatling suspension is people may get a little bit uppity here is Chase Jones. I did watch the game, and I'll tell you what, his pressure around the football was
14 tackles.
unreal. Yeah, his pressure around the football was unreal. So just a sneaky one, bit of a smoky. It wouldn't surprise me if he comes in. Um, and playing playing in Tasmania, playing back at his home state. He's come off a big game of 14 tackles. His pressure is ridiculous. He played a little bit midfield, more of a Peatling role. So I think he's a bit of a sneaky chance to make his way into the side.
if Chase Jones plays, that is worse than Brodie Smith playing. And
Ooh, I reckon he might play.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because there's no real like for like swap for Peatling, who's playing in the twos at the moment. So we're gonna have to adjust our game somewhat, no matter who we bring in.
Chase is not it.
I think he might. I think he might play. So
No, based on what you've said, I agree. I think he probably will, but he shouldn't. No. I will stand on business. No. I no. That I
we'll
would
see, we'll,
have
we'll, see- we'll see come Thursday night. If I'm wrong, then I'll be gladly wrong. But if he plays, then I think he's earned his spot in the side. But I think we're just going to have this conversation again of does Charlie Edwards deserve a game? I think the answer is no because you can't really put him back to half back, and he's damn well not coming into a midfield spot. So I think it's pretty slim pickings of who comes in. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
I don't think Chase should be playing midfield at AFL level either. That's my only issue with it. I don't think he's an AFL standard midfielder.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
And
look,
that's
I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. But
that's the
yeah, look,
role that we need to fill, and that's my only concern because you're right. You're both right. There's not really a like for like. The only one that you'd maybe consider is Sid, but I don't necessarily think I think it's unfair on him to keep breaking it up and giving him one AFL game, one SANFL game, one as a sub back to SANFL.
he needs to
Actually,
find he needs to find some sort of consistency.
yeah,
But
I'd honestly rather him play an extended stint in the SANFL just to get a good run at it. So it's hard. I'd almost rather like Zach Taylor come straight back in or even yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's like I'll try and I'll back you in, and because you've watched the game, and if Chase played well, then I'll back him in to play well in the AFL as well.
Mhm.
I just I don't trust him. I don't think he's AFL standard, not as a midfielder anyway. But like I said, I've it's happened a few times this year. I'll happily eat my words, but
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, it'd be very
yeah.
interesting this Thursday night, I think. I mean, looking at Sid's stats, they might go with it, but like you said, for an 18-year-old kid, you probably want him to get some
He just
consistency.
That's what I mean. He played a good game. Like kicked a goal, had 27 tackles, 5 clearances, 6 inside 50s. Um, but again, like I said, I'd rather him have an extended run where he's having a good crack at the SANFL and averaging 20 touches, and then you think about AFL. But it's genuinely as well because I think if he comes back in, I think he'll probably go back to the sub. I don't think they'll give him a full game still.
Yeah. No, exactly right. And that's I don't know. It's hard. I suppose we'll see what we do. If he was a senior player, he'd probably come straight back in. But
Yeah,
given that he's just
correct.
a rook, yeah, I get the feel. I'm a bit scared of Lockie Murphy coming in. To be honest, I mean
So am
he had
I.
14 handballs out of his 22 touches, but just yeah, I don't know. It stinks for the move that Nix will make. I think.
I would rather Taylor or Billy Dowling's proved he could play at the level. I wouldn't even be mad if they give Bill a run at it.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I'm thinking of. Maybe a a Dowling or a Murphy.
but if it's
I didn't even think of Lockie Murphy until you just
if
mentioned it.
if Murph comes back in and is playing Peatling's role, I will explode. Like I one actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna.
We'll back him in.
They've proved me. The coaches have proved me wrong every time this year. So you know what? No, if he comes in, I'm backing him in. Nix deserves it.
Murph proved us wrong as well. He played a good game when he came in. So,
Yeah, but then he played
um,
a stinker the week after. So
yeah, but
I'm just
yeah, look,
yeah. I'll Nix. I think the coaching group deserve our confidence at the moment. To be honest, so forget everything I just said. Whoever they bring in, I'll back him in.
yeah, go Chris.
Nah, 100%. Thanks, Nix.
Thanks, Nix.
We'll move forward. We'll move forward to the Hawthorn clash that we've been talking about. So another Friday night game, back-to-back Fridays. We're travelling to UTAS Stadium in Tasmania. Friday night game down there is absolutely crazy. Just
Whoever is
oh,
responsible for this fixturing needs a stern talking to. You could say, like, who in their right mind looked at it and went, "This has the potential to be one of the games of the year. Let's put it at UTAS on a Friday night." What is
Yeah,
the
it's
thought
utter woke
process there?
nonsense. Utter woke nonsense.
Like that? Come on.
I'm just going to have a look at the temperature real quick. So we've got a
On
a maximum of 13, a minimum of 4,
That is
72% humidity somehow. Um, only
this
10
can.
kilometre an hour winds and 0% chance of rain. So it's okay, but it's going to be cold as fuck down there. So if you're making the trip down, good luck to you. There might be some snow. Who fucking knows?
Yeah,
yeah. What year was that when they snowed? Was that in Canberra?
that was
20.
Canberra.
That was Canberra. Yeah,
Was, was there one in Launceston as well, though? I swear
that
there
might
would
have
have
been
been.
in Lonnie. Yeah,
The one I'm
snowing.
remembering was it was GWS because it was in Canberra, but
Yeah,
Tassie's
Yeah,
fucking
it's
that
far too
cold. It
warm
wouldn't
to
shock
wear
me.
far too
Tassie's
warm in
woke.
the short sleeves.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Shit, you're right. Funny.
It's crazy. Getting around in the polo shirt and the fucking snow. That's crazy work.
Well, that was actually I was talking to my missus about it yesterday because she's obviously from Canada, and she was. I said I was like, yeah, they've played a game in the snow before, and she's like, and they just wear that, and I was like, yeah, they just they don't care. I was like, they're running around enough that it probably keeps them warm, but you simply if it was snowing, I'm running out there in like full skins, dude, straight up.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking like prime Mbappe with a bloody like, face shield on, gloves. Like I'm rugged up, dude. Don't care.
Oh my lord.
No, imagine going to a game in the snow as a supporter. That would be crazy. I mean, we were complaining about the cold on Friday night with a little bit of rain, much less
Yeah, literally.
snow. I just couldn't even imagine it. It would be
Yeah.
insane.
Uh,
The hill would be just something else.
my my neighbour's dogs are going nuts right now, so apologies if you can hear that.
All right, all right. Where are we?
Speaking of dogs, the Hawks returned to some form on Thursday night by defeating the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. It wasn't really expected, but they returned to a bit of form. Sicily out, Watson out, didn't matter. They just ran all over the top, which is not great to see. A bit scary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
man.
watch. I didn't watch it. I was preoccupied, so I can't even comment.
I watched it, and with two of my good friends, shout out Aiden and Blake, who are Bulldogs and Hawthorn supporters respectively, and I literally said to Aiden, the Bulldogs have been that good all year that they would be the team that plays Hawthorn back into form right before the Crows are about to play them. Like they play one bad game, like one real bad game, and of course it's against the Hawks the week before we play them.
Yeah,
I'm furious.
it's
I
ridiculous.
it's so annoying, and I still will back us in, but I'm just annoyed that Hawthorn have belief now. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
thinking the same thing.
and like, not that I wish bad things on people, but like, Nick Watson, I hope you're still a bit stuffy by Friday night, my brother. I like you, but stay sick, my boy.
At least
I've
just
got a
take a bit of
proposition
extra
to.
time to recover.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a proposition to if this somehow gets out to any of the Crows boys, which is about zero chance. If any of you knock out Ginny in the first quarter, I will give you whatever you want.
You got to pay the
Just take him
fine.
out. I'll literally pay the fine. If you take him out, I will pay your fine. Thank you.
Insane hating, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, if we get any DMs from any of the boys during the week, it's going crazy. But
Yeah.
can't see it happening somehow. But we'll see.
For legal reasons, if someone does knock out Ginnivan, the Proper Crows podcast is not involved.
Yeah, if any third
Catch
party,
investigation.
well, I was added by a third party, but it wasn't me. I was influenced by someone.
Yeah. But no, seriously, I think it's gonna be a very interesting game, and I think Sicily being out is obviously gonna help a bit. I don't think it's that important anymore, to be honest, which I never thought I'd say, but I don't think Sicily being out matters that much. He's been terrible this year.
Yeah, he's not been great. In
It's
fairness.
it almost sucks that he's out because he was like a turnover machine, and we're so efficient at scoring from turnover. It's almost like it's better for them, which is I shouldn't say that because he is a good player, but he's just been so down on form that it's I don't think it's anywhere near as big of a deal as it would have been last year, especially now that they've got Brass and Battle. But
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, looking at their injury list, who have we got on there? We got Luke Bruce, who was a test. I don't know if he's anywhere near the side, but he's the type of player to probably come in and kick 7.
yeah,
Matt Hill was a test.
is there news on Warple because he got subbed out injured?
Let's have a look.
Let me have a look. If you boys want to keep talking, I'll have a sauce.
Because I think this is honestly probably a good I'm not sure what word to use. Kind of test, I guess, to see where our midfield's actually at. Because Hawthorn, their midfield, especially if Warple doesn't play, is seriously depleted. Like, no Warple, no Will Day. They've got, it'll be like Newcomb, Ward, Connor McDonald. Like, it'll be a random assortment of midfielders running through there. Like,
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's definitely not like a full strength team or anything like that. There's who have we got? Centre line: McDonald, Warple, Harry Morrison, Dylan Moore, Ginnivan. Oh, that's half forward more so. Followers. Lloyd.
There's nothing here. There's nothing here about him being hurt. So
yeah, I didn't like see anything afterwards. It was just that he got subbed out. So I was like, I don't know if that's like I guess it's still a watch. He might have done something and he's gone for scans, and we'll know next week. But yeah, even with him, I think Hawthorn's midfield is nothing outstanding. I think it's something they should probably look to try and turn the midfield around. Given I know we just heard that we're quite efficient with centre clearance, but it'd be nice to see us beat up a midfield that isn't West Coast.
I think we just need to. The biggest thing is their outside run. Like your Carl Amon, your D'Ambrosios, your CJs, all those boys. I think if you shut those down, you go a very long way to winning the game of footy. And if you don't bomb kick in and you hit a player out in spaces, as we know that we can do. Thiel, Tex, Fog, they can all basically play within 3 different systems. If we're able to, hit the space and hit clean, I think we go a long way to winning on Friday night. But yeah, I think that's where we stop them. Stop the outside run, and I think you win the game.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
100%. We'll move on to some predictions for it. Obviously, we spoke about any other changes to the team other than obviously Peatling going out. Do you boys see anyone dropping out or coming in or anything like that?
No, I think Peatling's the only change.
I kind of already touched on it. I think Pedler may have been in some kind of strife if Peatling wasn't out, but I can't see him getting dropped now if Peatling's out as well. I don't think there's anyone that can come in except for the aforementioned number 4. So, yeah, I think it'll probably just be a straight swap. Peatling for. Actually, you know what? Let's stand on business. Let's all make a prediction. Who's coming in for Peatling?
Chase Jones.
I hate that. That was said with so much fucking chest.
I meant that. Like, I think it's going to be Murph. I don't know. I don't want it to be necessarily, but I think it's going to be Murph.
I too think it's probably going to be Murph, but I'm praying to God it's Billy Dowling. But I think it'll probably be Murph. Yeah. God damn it.
We'll find out Thursday night for sure. Obviously locked in for an early game. That's the one positive, is we can find out what teams are and not have to debate who's going to, 6 extended interchange people and all that sort of stuff. So we'll find out.
Yeah,
Thursday
true.
Yep.
Predictions for the game. Dyl, who wins, how much, and no, there's no sort of medal. That was because we played him in Anzac round. Who
Yeah.
wins how much first goal?
Crows by 11. First goal, Josh Rash, I reckon. Yeah,
How about
Rash
you?
kicks the first one.
Yep.
I'll go Crows by 15. And first goal scorer, Riley Thilthorpe.
Don't mind it at all. I'm going to say Crows by 7, and we'll go Fog for the first one this week. Interesting. I want to see if there's going to be much shithousery between Ginnivan and Rochelle. I feel like they're two that could absolutely just.
I kind of hope so, to be honest.
They were
At least
going at each
funny.
other on the Crows' Instagram the other day. I don't know if you boys saw that, but Ginny commented on the goal that Rash kicked, and the Crows pinned it, and then Rash commented something under it. I'm not sure if you caught that, but
I didn't say that.
That's fun. I can't. That's good though. I can't fuck with that. That's good.
yeah,
That's.
yeah,
I
go have a
actually.
pass. It was
I'm
on
not gonna
Saturday. It was
lie.
Saturday morning.
I actually kind of like Ginnivan. I won't lie. I think he's good for
Yeah.
footy. I think he's.
But if
Um.
someone poleaxed him, though, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. But I think he's good for footy as well.
That's fair, but elite hating. But yeah, I'm a fan of Ginnivan, so hopefully him and Rash get into it, because that'd be quite. I reckon that'd be quite funny to watch and be good for footy, seeing them go back and forth.
Yeah, it'd be good.
So it was, it was a photo of the celebration up near the fence, and Jack Ginnivan commented, "That's easy," and then Josh Rosselli said, "My bro," and then like the shush emoji.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
So it'll be a good game. I mean, it's two teams who are top 8. Most certainly, I would say both are pretty much top 8. Both probably fighting for a top 4 spot, neither locked in at the moment. So it should be a good game. Freezing balls down there in Tasmania, but we'll see how we go. Before we head off, boys, is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything else you want to talk about, or anything like that?
I want to flag one thing that I am slightly not concerned about. It's actually kind of the opposite. I'm praying to God Riley Thilthorpe gets Tom Barras, because Tom Barras is good in the air, but as soon as that ball hits the ground, Riley Thilthorpe is going to run rings around him, and they're probably aware of that. So I think Barras will probably go to Fog, because they're basically built the same. But yeah, if Barras is on Thilthorpe, I reckon he could quite possibly have a big day, because he's so clean below his feet, and Barras is not. He's slow. Yeah, look out. I think Thilthorpe will definitely make him work if they end up on each other.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, there aren't many men who can stand between Riley and the goals, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, he could definitely exploit them if given the chance. So fingers crossed. Let's see Barras go to Thil. That would be nice.
Yeah, big time.
Dyl, anything you'd like to raise, mate, before we head off?
Not really. I think the big thing is, if we win, my bold prediction I said to the boys the other day is the top 2 finished from the Crows. So enjoy that. I hope that sort of comes to fruition, because this is probably really our second biggest test besides Collingwood at home for the rest of the season. I don't know if you boys agree with me there, but This is probably the big one.
Yeah, I agree.
Dogs at Marvel. Showdown.
Suns at home showdown.
I think in
Pies.
terms of away games, I think playing the Hawks in Tasmania is. I think we've been stitched up. I think all of our away games have been big ones. We haven't really had like a. We've got it later in the year, obviously, but we haven't had like a North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium or something. We've had all the teams that play well at home, circa Collingwood at the G, Gold Coast at home, Hawks at UTAS, Bulldogs under the roof. Yeah, like
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a stitch up. That's all right, because we come home, we've got Richmond away, we've got North away, and we've got West Coast away, so that should be 3 percentage boosters there to make up for it, hopefully, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you hope so.
Someone will clip this in about 2 months' time and...
Yeah, well said.
But yeah, other than that, obviously, if you're listening at the moment, keep an eye out on the socials. We'll have proper classics out on Thursday morning. I'm thinking either the game where Fog kicked the sealer in Tasmania in 2022, I want to say, or potentially the 20-year anniversary of the club in 2011, the round 1 2011 clash.
That was good too, yeah.
As well. So we've had a few classics with Hawthorn and been on the wrong end a couple of times, so it's it'd be grim. I certainly won't be posting the 2008 semi-final or anything like that. But
yeah, please don't. Or the 2012 prelim. Oh God. Oh, I'm gonna cry, bro.
Yeah, see, if we didn't get robbed either, we could have done the Phil Thorpe 5-goal debut, but we lost by 3. So. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, what do you reckon the odds are of you been able to find footage from the debut game? Given it's not really a classic because we, pumped
I've got that on VCR. I've literally got that on a videotape. So if someone's got a VCR player,
that's funny. I don't think it's worth it because it's not really a classic. It's just a bit of history being the first game. But
if anyone knows how to convert VCR to like a USB, we might be able to get some highlights off of that.
Yeah, even if we just post it aside from proper classics, because it's probably a nice little bit of.
100%. It's a good time to know Jeff Albertson, and in fact, the whole game is on YouTube. I've just had a look, so
that's huge.
There you go.
Some quality as well. Could see some highlights of that up. We might see Derm running through Chris McDermott and getting absolutely collapsed. Andrew Darman kicking snags, but yeah, we'll have a look into that. We'll feed into it. Thursday morning we'll have the main proper classics up. Of course, our review next Sunday as well. And look forward to the bye week the week after. We'll be having a chat about the draft and a few players coming up. Mitch Stevens and a couple other boys coming through the draft for this year. And we've also got a very special chat coming up soon for a man who's been making the matchday experience very pleasant. So keep your eyes peeled on socials to find out who it is. Message us any guests, comments, and all of that sort of stuff. At Proper Crows Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you very much for your likes, follows, comments, and everything over the last couple of days. It's been very cool to see them all coming through. Dom, thanks for jumping on, mate.
No worries, mate. Always a pleasure.
Indeed. And Dyl, thank you very much.
No worries, mate.
Beautiful. And go Crows on Friday night.
Go Crows.
Go the Crows.
Ring the bell! Ring the bell! The bell in the city of Kansas! Stand up like Matthew Nicks and rule like you never have before!
Jarman again, round the